Hello and welcome to Getting Started with Homeschool. My name is Tamika Latoya of the Cultivating Mom, and I am so glad and so happy to have you join me in this mini session of how to get started with homeschool. Welcome to the homeschool family. I want to take my hat off to you to taking on this journey, and I am so glad that you chose me to come along with you on this journey and to give you the tools and resources you need in order to be successful within your homeschool journey. Again, this is the Getting Started with Homeschool mini course. It's just going to give you the basics of how to get started, some tips on what you can do, and then you will be able to get started with homeschool with no problem. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So getting started with homeschool. So what you would first have to do or need to do is to know and be aware and understand, have a clear understanding of the laws and requirements of homeschool within your state or the state that you intend to homeschool in. I know a lot of clients, sometimes they're like in mid-transitioning into moving into another state. And so they'll ask questions about the laws and requirements, but don't keep in mind that they're moving. And so you want to be sure that you know and understand the laws and requirements for the homeschool, for the state that you will be living and homeschooling in. Okay, so we're going to cover that. We're also going to cover the withdrawal process, and then we're also going to go into a little bit into starting your homeschool journey. Okay, so state laws and requirements. The state laws and requirements for homeschooling is different in every state. There are some states that are very similar. There are some states that are very different. But this right here shows you that the states that have no notice required, meaning that you can homeschool, you don't have to notify anybody, you don't have to tell anybody, you choose and you decide to homeschool your kids, and that's what it is. But then you also have some states that are low regulation, moderate regulation, and high regulation, and that will vary across the board from state to state. A lot of the states, are somewhat similar, but then also some differentiate in between, what's required as far as how you have to go about homeschooling, if you have to notify someone, who you have to notify, and all that. So make sure that you look up that information and knowing, what your laws and requirements are. Now, if you're in one of the states that are this dark blue, and it says no notice required, then you're good to go. You can start homeschooling with no problem. You don't have to let anybody know anything, but I would still suggest that you know the requirements for the state that you do live in. Okay, so the laws and requirements for homeschool are different in every state, which I've already stated. Knowing this information is significant to beginning your homeschool journey. You must know this. You can't automatically assume, well, I don't have to let anybody know, or I have to do this, I have to do that. Like, you want to make sure that you know this information and you understand what those laws and requirements are. Okay, knowing this information will provide you with requirements of you as your child's teacher. So for example, in the state that I live in, you have to have at least a high school diploma to homeschool your children. I believe in a lot of the other states that do have some type of regulation, it's the same thing. I haven't had a chance to work with clients in all of the states, hoping for it, but in the ones that I have, that's most of the time that is the requirement. You have to have a high school diploma. The minimum number of days or hours you must homeschool. Again, in the state that I currently reside in, we must homeschool for at least 180 days. Of course, we can homeschool more than that if we choose to, but the minimum is 180 days. And for the most part, from what I've seen, that's been, that's been pretty much consistent throughout other states. I don't remember off the top of my head, but even some states, and that's why I put hours, some states require you do a certain amount of hours. And so you want to make sure that you know what that number is, you know what those days are, you know what those hours are, so that you're able to plan out and be able to abide by those, that requirement. Also, this information will provide for you the subjects that must be taught. So that will be math, English, ELA, science, social studies, that would be composition, that would be literature, that would be anything that your state is telling you is required. Of course, you are able to teach more that you're able to teach more if you would like, depending on your state and what the laws and requirements are. But I would just make sure that you know those subjects going in. You know those hours, and you know the hours and days that's required for the minimum number of days or hours. You know the subjects, and also what are your options. Again, taking it back to myself personally, in the state that I live in, we have 3 different options to choose from when it comes to homeschooling. Some states only have 1 option. Some states have multiple options. So you want to make sure that you understand what your options or your choices are. If you have 1, you're easy. But if you have 3, you want to make sure that you dive deep and look into those individually to see which one would be the perfect match for you and your family and your situation, and whether or not you have the support in order to do that one that you're choosing to do. And of course, if you are needing more help on that, I am available to help you do that. Okay. So if your child is currently enrolled in school, any type of school, whether it be charter, private school, public school, whatever, if your child is currently enrolled in school, I would suggest, strongly suggest to you to communicate with your child's school and or the school's district office to find out the withdrawal process from school, okay? And then you want to make sure that you document this process to keep copies for your records, okay? I truly believe in better being safe than be sorry. Not to say that you're going to need this information or no one's going to come knocking or anything like that, but I like to keep my documents and keep records so no one can ever say, oh, well, she didn't do the proper paperwork, or she didn't do this, she didn't do that. I will have you have your paperwork to say that you did. So make sure that you're communicating, you know, what the withdrawal process. With some schools and some districts, all you have to do is send in certified mail, certified letter, letting them know your child's name, the school they attended, and that they would no longer be there. They need to be withdrawn, or they know they will not be returning to that school. And you send them that certified, and you're good to go. Some schools, you actually have to go and fill out a withdrawal form. So just make sure that you're communicating with the school and or, I prefer and, both of them, just so you have a clear understanding on what the withdrawal process is to withdraw your child or children out of school, okay? Now, if this is your starting place and this is your first time, your child never attended any type of school, whether it be public school, whatever the case may be, then you're good to go. You can continue prepping, which this slide wouldn't really apply to you. You can go ahead and go to the next one, and then you get some tips from there. But if your child is enrolled in school, I stress this, cannot stress this enough. Please make sure that you're following the proper protocol and withdrawing your child from school, keeping copies of anything that you filled out or sent into the school for your records, so that you have that as your proof of doing what you were supposed to do, which is withdraw your child from school. Okay. All right. Last but not least, choose the option that works best for you and your family. And when I say choose the option that works best for you and your family, what works for me may not work for your family. And I always go into that telling my clients that what may work for me may not work for your family. We need to understand, we need to know what works for you and your family and your dynamic. What works for you, what works for your children, okay? And then if there are any paperwork that has to be submitted, make sure to do that. For example, the state that I currently live in, and I keep going back to that because I am ground zero, right? So the option that I myself and that works best for me and my family is an option where we have to be a part of a homeschool association. So I did the withdrawal process. I took my daughter out of school years ago. I did that, but then I also had to submit more paperwork to be able to be a part of the homeschool association, which is something simple that I just did online, paid my fee, and then we were covered. So whatever it is that you have to do to begin homeschooling in your state, please do that. I know in some states, North Carolina, for example, you have to file a form of intent saying that you're going to homeschool. So whether you have to join a homeschool association, you have to file a form of intent, whatever the case is, make sure that you're doing that, and make sure that you're keeping your copies your copies for your records along with your withdrawal papers, okay? And last but not least, again, we want to go ahead and start homeschooling. Go ahead and start looking into the curriculum that you want to do. Go ahead and start figuring out what type of scheduling that you want to do. Of course, if you need help in doing that, there are so many resources, free resources, low-cost resources. There's so many resources to help you do that. Okay. And if you need even more help, then you can reach out to me directly. You can send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to help you in any way I can. Okay. As a bonus for you all, I have provided you with my ultimate homeschool guide that is at within this course. It is free. It's yours. It's a bonus. Comes with this course, and it gives you a lot of the tools and resources. A lot of them are free. Some of them are low cost that you can use in beginning your homeschool journey. It also provides you with links that will be very helpful when you start your homeschool journey. As I said before, I do have spots available for the one-on-one strategy session that gives you 60 minutes with me for me to help you dissect, work through, go through whatever issues you're having with homeschooling. If you're needing help getting started, we will work solely on that, and you will be able to leave me and know that you are confident and you have the confidence and the information and knowledge that you need in order to be able to start your homeschool journey with confidence. Again, I can't thank you all enough. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have not already done so, please subscribe to my website, thecultivatingmom.com. Follow me on Instagram as well as on Facebook. I'm always going live. I do free homeschool coaching live sometimes with live Q&A, and I would love for you all to join me. Until next time, sending peace and love your way. Thank you for joining me.